Okay, so if you've been following me, I thought I'd do a video. I've had a few messages asking about oil, so I thought, well, why not just do a video about it? So, I mean, to start off, obviously, crude oil prices they don't just sort of drift up and down. Sometimes they can explode or completely plummet. They can have really aggressive moves. So, one week the market could be calm, and the next prices shoot up like a rocket, or they completely drop, like what happened in COVID. I mean, you can see here. I mean, it went to zero. So, what actually causes these sudden spikes in one direction or the other? Well, you know, something like global supply shock, um, I don't know, a major pipeline outage, a refinery fire, sanctions, or political instability. Stuff like this, it makes the market panic. Oil is a global commodity, so even a disruption like small like that can send prices absolutely soaring. So I mean, the market's very strange at the moment. There's a lot of geopolitical tension. So conflicts in like major oil producing regions can add what traders call like a risk premium. So even a supply, even if supply hasn't changed yet, like the fear of disruption pushes prices higher. So like markets hate uncertainty, and oil reacts very fast. So if you have a look on the chart here, the since COVID, this is this is really bullish structure, technically speaking. I mean, we've got this resistance line here, and or the bottom one here. I mean, this is coiling up. Um, now I don't know what's going to happen. Um, Maybe we do get some really big situation happening in the global economy. I mean, if you have a look at gold, gold is the biggest telltale because gold is absolutely flying. And you've got people. I posted a meme on Threads this morning, and basically said that people were queuing up. They're lining the streets to buy gold at over $5,000 an ounce, and when it was $1,500, nobody wanted it. So the psychology of retail investors, well, that kind of it shows you really, isn't it? And it just in that image. I mean, I don't know if OPEC and its allies that control a huge share of the global economy, the global oil production, they might announce cuts. The market instantly prices in, tighter supply when that happens. I mean, that alone could trigger a sharp upward move. Maybe I don't know. Maybe demand for oil is gonna surge, especially when like economies heat up. You've got more travel, more manufacturing and shipping, and demand for oil will jump. If supply can't keep up because of X, Y, Z, then prices will spike. And if you have a look in, what's happening around the globe, I do think that there's possibility for some disruption, and how supply might dwindle due to that. So um, something to take into consideration. I mean, also we've got. I mean, gold is a big telltale sign for something like hyperinflation across major currencies. Or we could be going into some sort of global war. Um, and then also you've got things like like a simultaneous collapse of like US, Saudi, Russian, and Iranian supply. So there's several different factors that I don't know which one's going to hit, but these could be catalysts almost colliding it, like say simultaneously. Um, but look, let's have a look at this structure. Um, and I do actually know what this structure is. So it did happen with a cryptocurrency called Holochain, which I was quite well invested in a few years ago, and I'll just show you what I mean by that. So if I get Holochain chart up, look, I can get rid of this, but what I'll do is I'll copy this on. I'll do it on the weekly. So can you see that the price of Holochain here, it dropped 92, well, nearly 93%, and then it absolutely exploded. So you had this kind of like V bottom here, and then like a pause moment. And once this pause moment was over, we get this huge spike to the upside. And if you put the fib on there, I mean, it's well above the 4.236. I mean, I think it's almost double that. Yeah, 200% higher. So I'm just going to draw this. I'm just going to take this bars pattern here, and I'm going to overlay it. I'm going to go back into crude oil, and I'll just copy it on. And can you see can you see the similarities? So I mean, it's not going to be exactly perfect, but you know, we can stretch that out a bit. We can sort of see where it's going. So we get this huge move to the downside, which was obviously COVID, and then we get this kind of this area here is what I want to focus on. So we get this kind of like V bottom out of here, and we get this kind of like flag pattern accumulation zone before this huge breakout. Okay, so actually I'll get rid of that. So if we imagine that we are in this kind of like section, something like that. If we imagine that we are here, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for a huge breakout to the upside. Now, do I think that crude oil is going to go to, you know, 22,000 a barrel? You know, no, I highly doubt it. But the technical setup is a bullish one. So if I was to be take a bet on it, I'd say somewhere around $1,000, probably. I mean, the chart that I put on takes it up to about $1,500. Now, I don't know what's gonna be the catalyst for this. I really don't. But you've also got to think about with vehicles. We've got electric vehicles basically flooding into the markets, and there's an obvious push for electric vehicles. Now, if they really want you to get into electric vehicles and they really want to push it, do you think that they're going to keep oil cheap, or do you think they're going to really pump the price of oil up to almost get you into electric vehicles because you can't afford to run your car? This is the sort of stuff that I runs through my head. Conspiracies, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But you have to think like that because there has to be a reason. So all I wanted to show you was this chart, and again, with market, psychology and speculation, oil isn't just like a physical commodity, like it's a financial asset. So, traders will pile in when they expect prices to rise, which can kind of like amplify the move. So where like momentum builds and suddenly like the price chart looks like, a vertical line basically. And if you've got like low inventories, like when global oil inventories are like are low, the market becomes like extremely sensitive. So any hint of trouble, like a storm or strike or political headline or whatever, That can send prices flying as well. So, because there's no buffer. Um, so when crude oil prices explode, it's usually not like one thing. It's like a chain reaction. So like supply, demand, like geopolitical themes, like trader behavior. They all collide in once, at once. Like similar to what we've obviously been seeing with gold. Like there's a massive reaction, and this is when you get like people queuing up, you know, to buy gold at $5,000 an ounce. Because everyone's like really really worried. Um, they think that's where the safe haven, for their wealth is, but you know they missed the trade because they could have bought it at like $1,500 an ounce. Well, you know, so yeah, I'm just looking at the oil chart. That's what I see. Um, I don't know if it's gonna do what I think it's gonna do, but if we run a fib on there, that takes it to $500-600. The other thing that I found really interesting when I was looking at this chart is if you flip into the weekly, and this is actually really, really cool, is that. So can you see where the last line of support was here before the COVID crash? Now, that was around where we are now. It's basically hit it. So what tends to happen is like when you fall down here, you want to recover this line. So this is like the last line in the sand before the huge drop. We've had all of this time recovering price and creating a stable structure. We've come down here to test it as support, and this thing's starting to kind of curl up. So it shows that whatever this was that created the dump, there was a resistance there. It's now turned into support structurally. So I would watch crude oil like a hawk, because this might just be the asset that everyone's forgotten about, and it might just be the next gold, the black gold. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this. If you do, give us a follow. Thank you.